Hey everybody, we got a new true crime comedy podcast for you to listen to. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but you know what? We're a little bit different. We're called Crimes, Killers, Cults, and Beer. I'm Bill and my co-host is Todd. And we're two crazy Florida men. And we're just sitting here drinking beer, talking about true crime cases and everything. And you know what? The fact that it's two Florida guys, that makes it even more entertaining. You gotta admit that. But you know what? We're also detailed. We're well-researched. We have fun when we're doing it. So check us out. I guarantee you that you'll love it, or your money back. Until we start up a Patreon page. But anyway, check us out. We appreciate it. You won't be disappointed. Crimes, Killers, Cults, and Beer. On all platforms.
This episode originally aired on March 25th, 2022. Our client today was Sarah Dingus from the Unethical Podcast. Go check that out.
I'm not flying. I'm driving. I got to go down to Virginia.
What's in Virginia? Isn't that quite the coincidence?
Why? Is this case about Virginia?
It's definitely about Virginia.
So where's Abigail?
Abigail is actually do we say we fired? Can we tell people? Is that something you tell people? We fire them, or do you like she doesn't work with us anymore?
Usually you say that they don't work with you, or we had to let them go. You don't just be like, oh, we fired that fuckhead.
Yeah.
Like,
We ended her.
Fucking let her go.
I like when people say no longer with the company, but then also abridge that to no longer with us. I've heard so many of my coworkers say that about people who have quit, and so they're just killing off my old coworkers on the phone.
They're no longer with us.
Jerry is no longer with us, and then just a credit card rep is just supposed to be like sit with that.
Oh my god,
Jerry's potentially dead.
So what we're trying to tell you is she's not with the company anymore, and she's
no
not
longer
with us. She's no longer with us.
Oh man, she told me that this place solved crimes. Is that you guys? Are you private dicks? You guys solve crimes? Yeah,
crimes, mysteries, whodunits.
Huh. Well, I got a thing that I just cannot seem to wrap my head around. I can't figure it out. And have you heard of this lost colony called Roanoke? You know what I'm talking about?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I need to.
Every American
down.
kid, every single American kid learns this in grade school. Every one of them. And if they didn't, they're homeschooled.
Yep, that's what I heard. If you don't learn about Roanoke, it's because you were schooled in your living room at home by your mom.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we know. We'll tell you where everything ended up.
All right, cool. I'm with it.
For the record, I'm not homeschooled. I just in case did this later.
But of the three of us, if you had to guess, gun to your head,
No
who's
fucking way. It
homeschooled?
would be Richard. He barely even has internet.
No, Richard looks like he was very disadvantaged in his youth. He looks like he was thrown to the wind. Like there were several teachers who were like, do I try with this one?
I'm having a really rough day. My hair is a fucking mess. I don't always look like a piece of shit, just generally today.
Yeah, well, that's just because today wasn't picture day where you and your brother and sister line up in the kitchen. And
well, I have to say RJ looks nerdier than I thought. So if I had to like guess just on
you.
faces, I'd say RJ looks like he was homeschooled.
All right,
Oh, there you go. All right.
You don't think this face experienced bullying? Come on. I mean, I guess
no,
it
you
still could at
definitely
home, but-
experienced bullying, but it didn't have to be at school. It could have been anywhere.
My mom fucking slapping my lunch out of my hand every day after making it for me.
What do you got in that thing? You just made it.
Yeah.
Toughen up, boy. Slap.
Give me your lunch money back.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Okay, so Dingus wants us to solve this fucking case, huh? Well, we could do it. You're talking about Virginia. We're doing the Lost Colony of Roanoke.
Oh yeah,
Lost Colony of Roanoke. I don't think I know what that is.
I taught it in history class.
You don't know me. You don't know my history class.
That was going to be my first question right off the bat. You guys learn about this in school, yeah? You do, RJ, yeah?
Yep.
Rick, not so much?
I've never heard of this.
I
I might have.
never.
I mean, they might have tried to teach it, but
I mean, the school I went to that wasn't in my home taught me about it. So
Oh, there you go. Is Rick giving you off like homeschool vibes?
homeschool vibes, vaguely. I get. Faint
I was not
vibes.
homeschooled. I was not homeschooled.
We did it out in the shed. We didn't do it in the house.
Were you like one of those like cult kids?
No. What? Why would you think that? What?
I'm asking a question. If you were, you got very defensive over that. So that
I went to-
screams yes.
I'm just wondering why you jumped straight to that. I went to a very small public school.
Okay.
Yeah, in his living room. Anybody else was welcome.
We
They just
left the
didn't show
blinds
up.
open. Anybody could look in. It was public.
Okay, let's quiz you a little bit more. I don't know anything about American history. I learned all this just brand new for myself because I heard one thing one time and I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn the whole thing, and I did for fun. So this is American history. I would assume you might know. RJ might know. What's the first successful English colony in America? Do you know what that was?
Jamestown.
That's correct. Rick didn't get that one.
I would have never. I don't remember these things. I will never.
Okay, that's fine. Just seeing where the school system's at.
Well, Mr. Carr was pretty good. Rick's mom was lacking, obviously. So
Well, that was the first one. That was in 1607. But there was another attempted colony 20 years before that was lost to history. And that's what I heard about. And I was like, let's read about this. So on May 8th, 1587, 3 ships set sail from England to America to start this new colony. Now, I was I started with ships right away, and I was thinking about fucking the Mary Celeste, and I was like, there better not be any time, distance, measurement knots, because I fucking hate that, and there was none, so that's fun. I didn't have to deal with knots. But anyway, so the 3 ships, load up 3 ships. Most of these people were middle-class London people trying to make it in the New World, because the way it was over there was like if you had a fancy name or a title, you would get all the stuff, and then you would just be, you know what I mean? England was full. Let's get some people out of there. So I don't know if I would have done that. Would you jump on a fucking ship? Now, let's say Elon Musk is like, I'm bringing middle-class families to Mars. We're going to go colonize. Let's go.
Yeah, no, because it was different then. Because like, I feel like life as like living in like London in the fucking 1500s was virtually identical to living in a newfound land. Like you do the same thing. Like it's not like you go to Mars and you're like, wow, I don't have a cell phone or a washing machine anymore. They never fucking had that anyways. They're just like, wow, this is a different creek from what I wash my clothes in back there. Like
that's true. But I feel like I don't think if you drop off on Mars, they're going to be like, okay, bye. Don't use the washing machine in the spaceship. You know what I mean? Like you'll still have that stuff.
I mean, like, but like, I don't know, just certain creature comforts, like, because like, how long would it take for like, I don't know, like new episodes of a show to get to fucking Mars? You know what I mean? Like you're cutting yourself off.
You're comparing like the things you like, but like they had stuff that they were missing out on when they went over there. They get like hot baked potatoes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They get whatever shit you buy off the street. Like they still lost creature comforts, just different ones.
But like half the things that you could buy then that are like that is just shit that you'd have to make yourself anyways. Like it's not the same thing as like McDonald's or making a hamburger at home. It was either you'd make the thing at home or you paid someone else just for the convenience of not making it. I feel like the quality was going to be absolutely the same. Like everything was just, there's no machines or anything. You know what I mean?
I guess so. It's like, I don't know. Come on, guys. We're not going to have sex with girls for a long time. Like there's a lot of things that would be missing going out there too. You know what I mean?
I don't think so, because there were Native women and a lack of care for consent.
Oh, yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true too. All right. Anyways, yeah, there was 115 of them. All right. Actually, it was about 120 that went there, but we'll get into it later. 115 were the ones that actually disappeared. The colonization effort was sponsored by a guy named Sir Walter Raleigh. Raleigh is known in history as an explorer, politician, poet, map maker, ship captain. He's got like 50 different fucking titles. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Jesus, man. Impressive people. That's all. Like, I feel like there's a lot of guys like that though back then. Raleigh was born in 1552 or 1554. They never say 1553 ever. They say either 1552 or 1554. I don't know why 3's out of the question, but it was out of the question. So it's one of those 2 years. He got in the good books with Queen Elizabeth I when he was vice admiral in the late 1570s. So from 1579 to 1583, he took part in a quelling of an Irish uprising. He was like in his late 20s, early 30s doing this, and he like was ruthless. The Queen really liked the fact that Raleigh and his half brother Humphrey Gilbert were that ruthless to the Irish. There's stories of these guys having so little ruth that they would kill civilian little Irish dudes, chop their heads off, and set up corridors of severed heads at the entrances to all their camps. So these guys are really cool. Yeah.
I think the most interesting part of that is I've never heard the term ruthless be said. It's so little ruth.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing.
They barely had any fucking ruth at all. It's almost
no
as
ruth
if they were
left
without ruth entirely. Less.
I actually Googled the definition to make sure that was a word and that I was hearing that correctly.
And how was it? How was my English?
You're spot on. Yeah.
So little ruth. They got no ruth, those fucks. Yeah, but crazy though. They'd be chopping people's heads. So 1500s were a different time, you know. That impressed a queen. That would horrify the queen now. Imagine you just set up a quarter of severed heads for Queen Elizabeth now. She'd fucking lose it. She'd cry.
What if she didn't? What if she just like clapped and giggled?
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're taking out the Irish again.
Bucktooth inbred moron. Yay, violence. In my honor.
So for their quelling of the Irish rebels, Raleigh was given 40,000 acres in Ireland. So that's where he spent most of his life, was the Baron or whatever of Ireland. He stayed there for a long time. I think he was a mayor or some shit while he's there. It's not really about him, this story, just trying to give you the background of the guy that's paying for this. More interesting and valuable, in my opinion, is that in 1884, Queen Elizabeth also gave Raleigh permission to colonize America. What she actually told him was that he could rule, quote, any remote heathens and barbarous lands, countries, and territories not actually possessed of any Christian prince or inhabited by Christian people, end quote. So permission only counts if you're like a white person. You know what I mean? If there's no white people there already, just take it. It's yours.
I mean, honestly, it's fucked up, but could you imagine being the first one here and it's just a dib system?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. That's what it is.
You just roll it and you're like, I'll take that area. Dibs.
This is what the Queen actually told him. This is the only stipulation. Well, there's a couple stipulations. He had to colonize in 7 years. So by 1891, or he loses claims, or when he does colonize, he owes the crown 1/5 of any profit. So he still's got 4/5 left of profit and dibs. You know, it's not bad. It's not bad.
You tax everyone and you only give the crown 1/5 of your profits. What the fuck?
Yeah, anything.
Yeah. And you lie about what your profits are.
Natural resources, anything like that, right? It's an open world out there. Sassafras was a big thing.
No wonder fracking got so big. This motherfucker. Yeah.
So the Queen really, what her idea was for the whole thing is that Spanish were already out there, and so were the French. Colonizing North America. So she wanted to set up a privateering base somewhere kind of hidden and colonize at the same time, so that not only would they get a foothold in America and get some of their land, get some land for themselves, but also to fucking rob all the super rich Spanish ships that were coming from South America. They were just robbing the Aztec blind and heading back to Spain all the time. So she knew this was happening, and she's just like, you know what? We could just steal from them. Like, I love privateering. It's hilarious. It's just like piracy for a cause.
I mean, it's the same cause, just be wealthier.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you have to give it up. That's why pirates, it's like being a pirate, but with like a big brother to be like, hey, fuck off. Let him alone, you know?
We said this was okay.
Yeah, exactly. So we changed the name to privateering. It's not pirating anymore. Yeah. So Raleigh seized on this opportunity right away. Like, I get to perfect. She's going to give me a fucking ships and everything. I'm going on an expedition right away. But she didn't want him to go. She's like, no, you stay here, my little butt boy. You send people. I'm not really sure. I see some stuff where, okay, because the Queen Elizabeth was like known as the Virgin Queen because she never got married or whatever. And she was just, but there's lots of implications on the internet that Raleigh was fucking the Queen. Okay. I don't know if that's true or not. But she made him stay. And so he had to send some people out. Now,
well, that's actually how you would be knighted back then. The thing is that nobody, hygiene was very low importance and understanding back then. So anybody who was willing to go down on the Queen would become a knight. And Will was like, I'm in. I'll do it. I'll get close to her by chopping all these Irish heads, and then I'll eat her muff.
It seems if only it was that easy nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that is still how it works, right?
Eat a Queen's dirty old muff.
That's what Elton John had to do, right?
He didn't have any type of maps or anything for out there. They knew kind of how to get there. They knew enough about over there, but they really wanted to just send. His first trip was just a fact-finding mission. It wasn't like, let's bring a shit ton of people. So he sent off 2 ships. It was called a bark. These ships are called barks. They're fully mast ships that they can go across. They're not really warships. It's a type of ship with 3 or more masts. That's it. And they leave in April, and 1584, and they arrive in America by July 1st. So 3 months, everything's going good. That was a good trip across the fucking ocean. No problems at all. They get there. It's great. What I love about this story, I was just thinking about it, is they have ship names, like all the names of the ships, like barks. This is fun. This is the only fun thing about fucking navigating. I don't like knots. So the 2 ships were captained by the very captain he named captains, Philip Armadas and Arthur Barlow. I don't know. I thought those names were funnier.
Yeah, Armada.
Armada. Philip Armada.
William Lots of Ships. Marcus Fleet of Vessels.
I couldn't find out how many people were on these 2 ships. I tried my best. Nothing there, but I do know that there was a guy named Simon Fernandez. He was their navigator. He was an experienced sailor and ex-pirate that had been to the New World prior to this voyage with the Spanish. He was actually a Spanish guy who defected, became a pirate, and got caught pirating, I guess. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was on the hangman's fucking, like, he was getting the rope around his neck, and then somebody was like, get him down, I could use him. Then he worked his way up to being like a trusted guy, and he was the only reason they would actually make it to America to begin with.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw, comrade.
I don't know why I felt that was appropriate there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's an unethical callback. It's good. Once in America, the expedition met some Native Americans that lived on the Roanoke Island. The Secatan. This is going to be a rough one for me. There's a lot of tribes, Native American peoples. I don't even fucking know. Can I even say tribe? Am I allowed to say tribe? Is that bad now? I don't know.
I think after the last several unethicals, no matter what you say is going to be racist.
Exactly.
You're just going to have that racist 3 minutes. And like this episode, every time you try to pronounce a tribe, it's just going to be that.
Yeah. Starting just now, Richard, everything you say is going to be racist.
Yes.
Starting just now.
Let's keep the T word to a minimum moving forward.
Tribe? Are you serious?
Is that not what you call them though?
I would say if you're reading it from a source, quote the source, they get in trouble. You're in the clear. That's why I always quote Joe Rogan whenever I try.
That doesn't mean you actively look for sources that said the N-word.
No, I'm not racist. God damn it. I hate that fucking thing. It's happening to me.
Look, the source said it. It's not my fault. It has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, exactly. not goddamn racist. All right. But there are a lot of different tribes. They're all Algonquin speaking Native American tribes. If I get the tribe wrong in this entire thing while I'm going, there's just so many and I get confused. So maybe I got it wrong, but the sentiment is real. Okay. I'm telling you, there's like fucking 50 of them.
I'll report you to whatever Canadian agency executes people for saying bad things about First Nations.
Okay. All right. So the second in chief, his name's Wingina or Wingina. I'm going with Wingina.
There's the racism bone coming out. Wingina. Right there. There it is.
How is that racist?
There it is.
Racist against
Wingina?
Indians.
You really think that's how the Native Americans said that? No.
Okay, Wingina. 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 I don't know what to say. I'm saying Wingina. It's happening. All right, the second in chief, Wingina, was injured recently. He was injured recently from a war they were currently waging with the neighboring Pimilco village. So his brother, Granganamio, Granganimio, Granganamio, represented the tribe at the meeting. The Secotan and the expedition got along great. Everyone was sharing everything. They brought them in, took their boots off, dried off all their clothes and stuff, gave them food.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think kind of. We're not there yet, but kind of. So they had a great trip while they were there. They met a lot of stuff. They saw some great land. They saw the Roanoke Island. They're like, this is going to be a perfect place for a port. It's like right behind the Outer Banks. I never knew this about the States, about North Carolina like that. There's like that row of fucking islands. I didn't know that's right inside of that. So it was perfect for like hiding for their privateering because that's what they wanted to do, right? It was rob a bunch of ships, Spanish ships. They would never see them coming. So when they went back to England, they're like, this is the greatest place, you know? They even brought back two indigenous people when they went back to Britain. They brought Wanchese, a Secotan guy, Secotan, and the Croatoan people, which is another native tribe on a southern island, was called the Croatoan Island. They sent a guy named Mateo, I think. The Croatoan were another tribe in North Carolina at the time and resided on the Croatoan Islands just south of Roanoke Island. Mateo was the son of the chieftain on that island. So I don't know, do we call that a prince? Is that a prince? Son of a chieftain.
That feels like a leap.
It's a leap, yeah. I don't know what that means. What does a chieftain do? Is that like the mayor?
Well, yeah, that's like the person who runs the tribe.
Yeah.
Well, king runs a kingdom. The chief would have like a...
How bad did you destroy the First Nations culture and history that you don't even know that? Did Canada really go that hard?
When I was a kid, we didn't learn any First Nation stuff. My kids do, but we didn't at all.
Really?
0%. Yeah, nothing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Now we do. Now the kids do for sure, but that's been years of fighting for that. It's a relatively new thing, and my country's a piece of shit for doing it. I didn't know about residential school till I was like 35. You know what I mean? Like 30. I shouldn't say 35, but I didn't know that they were doing that. You know, anyways, my country's not as... Everyone says Canada's super nice. We got dark past too. We got some fucked up shit going on.
Well, there's white people there, and with that comes a lot of seedy and greedy and horrible things in history. So
yeah, anyways, they took these two guys back to England. I don't know what that must have been crazy to these guys. Like, imagine going from like the wilds of America to like people shitting on the street, like a street. Like, it must have been nuts.
They went from shitting in the woods to people shitting in the street.
yeah.
Wild.
This is what I'm fucking saying. Like, it's not the same thing as like getting a colony on Mars as it was then. It's just like, oh yeah, I gotta sew my own clothes here in London or do it in a cabin where the air actually smells good. Like, it's a you know what I mean? Like, why would you not want to do that?
I find that crazy that you don't think
I think there is probably some but there's always culture shock. I mean, if you went over to Ukraine right now, you'd be shocked.
Probably bombed.
Ain't that the truth?
But I don't think it's the same amount as if I was going to Mars right now.
Yeah, but you wouldn't meet a Martian and go into their Martian town and see all the Martian shit they had.
Well, then I really don't want to fucking go if I'm not allowed to do that. Why aren't we allowed to talk to the Martians?
I'm more amazed if I go somewhere and there's no people than I think if I go to like another country and I'm like, wow, you guys have buildings. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, for the opposite way, absolutely. That would have bit of mind fuck. But like, I just don't see it as being that big of a deal to like pick up and go. Because like for starters, yeah, maybe it feels like another planet. But if like I'm like some lady with a husband and like 4 kids, and I'm like 13, so I don't have that much of my life ahead of me, I'm gonna want to like settle down somewhere peaceful and not the middle of fucking London. And it just seems like a no-brainer to start a new life here. Getting on a fucking rocket that Elon Musk is somehow involved in, so you know it's not safe or reliable. Like, there's no fucking way. And also, you for sure are signing away some kind of genetic or autonomical rights or something when you get on that rocket. You know you're going to get there, and he's going to be like, all right, Neuralinks are mandatory. Like, it's not the same thing. You're just gone. You're effectively dead. Like, back then, I feel like if you really, really had to, you probably could have gotten back on the ship and gone back.
Yeah, that's true. It's a one-way trip no matter what. There's no chance of going back. That's a big one. Plus, there's nothing there. Like, it's not like here where you could just scrounge for water. You have to make sure you bring enough, and you can create enough or whatever. You can melt enough. I get that. It's not exactly the same, but I don't
like us pigeonholing Mars as a one-way trip. That's a little fucked up.
Yeah. So when they were like regaling this place, the only thing the Queen really cared about was like, had the Spanish claimed it yet? And they said no. So Spanish had only owned like Florida down to this point. They didn't go much north of that. So the Queen was super pumped. We found a place. So she knighted fucking Raleigh for that. Raleigh just sent 2 guys out. She's like, you did such a good job. You know, now you're Knight, Lord, and Governor of Virginia. And that's what they were calling North Carolina at the time. And it was named after Queen Elizabeth because of her, I told you earlier, she's the Virgin Queen. So they're calling it Virginia. They ended up having Virginia there, but that's where Jamestown ended up. But this was North Carolina.
She's only a virgin just because nobody had to. Well, you know how everybody becomes knights, so I don't have to get into
it. Yeah, he knighted himself that day.
Yeah.
So Raleigh's like, let's do this. Now that I'm fucking a knight, let's gather some up. So he raised a bunch of money, and he gets 600 men to go on this mission. Just this is going to be a military operation. Send 600, go get a colony started. Only about half would stick around, and then he'd send colonists afterwards. They had left with 7 ships this time. The ships' names were like Tiger, Red Lion, Roebuck, Elizabeth, and Dorothy. And then they had 2 smaller ships that didn't really have names, and they were a pinnace type ship. Pinnace. The Tiger was a galleass. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, type of ship.
I'm really shocked and impressed that you skipped over pinnace like that without knowing.
He said it twice. He said it was a pinnace, and then he paused. Pinnace?
No, nobody's going to take that. I'll move on.
Wow.
I was like volleying that up.
That's
I was
some
volleying
restraint.
that up for someone. I'm good at setting up. I don't always have to be punchline. Yeah, so yeah, pinnace. Isn't that a great name for ship? Anyways, then there's the galleass, there's galleons. There was galleons. They were the bigger military ships, and the galleass were a little bit smaller, and they weren't always military. Like, they used them for military purposes, but they were also good for shipping. They could carry a lot of weight. The other were called flyboats. Those were basically cargo ships, no military real use. And then pinnaces are the little small ships, like when you see a ship docked like out in the thing, like in a pirate movie, and then they come to like this land with a row or whatever, row ship. That's what a pinnace is, just a little baby ship.
Little itty bitty pinnace.
Yeah, little small. The smallest pinnace,
little mini penny
out there. Doesn't have a mast erected. This mini armada was headed by a guy named Sir Richard Grenville, who was Raleigh's cousin. The Tiger was his ship, the big boy. He was armadas. Okay, I don't know about this part. I gotta see, this was so hard to research. There's so much. Armadas was set, like, I heard a bunch of things that he was 19 years old when this happened. That's fucking nuts. But then I looked at his age. He's not 19. He's got to be in his 20s and 30s. But I mean, still, he was our admiral. He was named Admiral of Virginia. And then Ralph Lane, who's another guy, was appointed governor of the colony. John White was a guy that's important later, but he was on this ship. He was the guest.
All right.
He raised his hand.
No worries.
Rick, did you learn to raise your hand one-on-one with your mom while she was teaching you? She made you.
Yeah. Hey, I already got a pass from Dingus. I'm not the whole homeschool one. It was you, motherfucker. So.
Oh no, it doesn't matter what I look like now. The precedent's been set. It was firmly established.
It's not me, you. That tactic of not getting roasted.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah, so John White was hired as the artist and cartographer for this trip, which I found that was an interesting job. It'd be like what a cameraman or something would be today. You know what I mean? To record everything that was going on, except he had to draw because it's the fucking 1500s.
Are you describing a cartographer right now? Is that?
No, he's an artist / cartographer. He was hired to be to draw out shit that was over there. It was all new, right? So he not only
maps mostly. If they're calling him a cartographer, then
cartographer / artist. He was drawing the people that were there. He was drawing the huts that were over there. He was taking maps of the areas. He was doing all this kind of stuff.
Cool.
You can go look him up. He still has a bunch of his watercolors that he brought back from there. Super
sweet.
crazy. It's like from the 1500s. They look really good. They look super interesting.
Well, maps from back then were more art than they were anything else. They're friggin' gorgeous.
Yeah, his map of that area is considered one of the best maps of that area of that time. Niceness, accuracy, everything all one. It's displayed at the British Art Museum. That's how. There's lots of maps out there, right? So why?
Oh man, I gotta go look at this map. What was this dude's name?
John White.
Okay, I'm so excited about this map.
So they got the 600 people ready to go. They have John White ready to take photos or draw out everything that's going on. And they head out. Manteo and Wanchese come back. They're going after they did all their touristy things in London. Big Ben was their favorite. I'm just kidding. They didn't go see Big Ben. After their trip to England, though, Manteo and Wanchese had differing views on how the settlers should be treated when they get back to America. Manteo really took to the culture. He really liked learning English. And he found everyone quite charming and kind of fun. It was nice to be somewhere new, doing something different. Wanchese, not so much. These guys are a problem. They're going to come here and screw up our way of life. Don't like this guy. So they all head out April 8, 1585. So this is a year after they've left the original time. Not long after the voyage, the 7 ships hit a severe storm, sinking one of their pinnaces and damaging the Tiger.
They sunk a penis.
Yeah, it got wet. It got real wet.
There it is.
They separated all the ships too. This storm scattered all the ships so they weren't together, but they had a plan B that if they were to get separated, they would all just head to Puerto Rico, which was under Spanish control, but only on the one side. So they kind of went around the other side and made their own little base there. And then when people show up, we'll all get back together. We'll go to the next thing. And their biggest ship, the Gallus, was damaged, so they needed to do repairs. So they cut a bunch of lumber and they fucking fixed it. They fixed it. And they also cut down a bunch of lumber and they made a new pinnace. They got a bunch of wood and made a new pinnace while they were in Puerto Rico waiting for the other ships to come.
They can just make a new one.
Yeah, they just erected a new pinnace in less than a week.
Hell yeah, that is a quick build time for a pinnace.
They are working because they really want to blast off to the Americas. You know what I mean? They're just.
But before you do that, you need a stern, hardy pinnace, a sturdy one, rigid.
You got to make sure your sailors get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want this full of semen. You want this pinnace full of semen before you start heading out to the ocean to get wet.
But now you're rolling, man. That's what you get for holding it back.
Do you feel better? Do you feel better? Is it all?
Oh, it better not all be.
It's all off the dome. It's all off the dome. I'm not even meaning to. I'm just saying it. Anyway, so a week later, the Elizabeth shows up. The other 3 ships never show up to Puerto Rico. The Elizabeth shows up. He's got Governor Lane. Governor Lane and Grenville fucking hated each other. All right, they're at each other's throat the whole time. Lane kept accusing Grenville of purposely taking too long in Puerto Rico with his little privateering side hustle. While Grenville was getting repairs done on the Tiger, he took the Elizabeth over because he was in charge. He said, "Oh, thanks for getting here. Let's make more money privateering." He's like, "We could go." "No, we can't. We could go." So they argued for months. And Grenville's idea, the whole reason he wanted to go was to privateer, go out there, make a bunch of money. Lane was devoted to the settlement. This is what he really wanted to do. So it was like kind of weirdly split into like these guys that wanted to be pirates and these guys that wanted to make, but they all worked together because they kind of had to. And Grenville, here's an example of Grenville, who this guy was. I read a story on the internet that he would chug 4 or 5 glasses of wine at the bar or whatever. And then he would, once he was done, he would like stare at you and eat the fucking glass. Just eat the glass.
What a power move. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What the fuck do I do if I see a guy like pound back a couple of whiskeys or pound back a couple of glasses of wine and then just
no joke, of like blood would pour down his face.
Yeah, I would kick him the fuck out of my bar. There's no way glasses are like as cheap then as they are now.
What do you do if you're just another patron and this dude's staring you down, like eating his glass, his blood poured, like
maybe he had pica, but I don't know. Like, I don't think
be.
you could do that, you know?
Because if I'm also drunk, I'm in awe. I'm just like standing there watching this guy like eat his glass, like not knowing what the fuck to do.
Yeah, I'd probably be very jealous. Like, ooh, way to show off with your actual human teeth. You know, I'm just sitting here with these fucking wood ones in my face, unable to barely bite into some 3-day-old boiled chicken or whatever the fuck we eat.
He's like, that's the secret to good teeth, eating glass. Like, fuck, I wish I would have known 20 years ago.
I'm gonna have to ask my dentist about that next time I see him. Hey, man.
Yeah. So Grenville's there making hand over fist money, doing his little privateering thing. Ralph Lane's just bitching and telling him, dude, we got to get there before it hits summer. We're not going to be able to plant any crops. We're going to get fucked. So he convinces Grenville, like, okay, fine. It's like the last moment. If they hurry up now, they'll make it. And they get there on June 26th, which is way past planting season. Roebuck and Dorothy are there, though. 2 of the scattered ships, they're waiting there for them. They already went, they dropped off a couple guys to go like chop some wood, and then they went up to Newfoundland and started privateering. And then on the way back, they were like, "Oh, you guys are here. You guys made it. Good." Lane was fucking furious with Grenville, but they wanted to make it work, and they had a lot of supplies that they gathered from Puerto Rico and they brought from England. So they thought, we'll make it through this winter as long as the supply run gets here. The Tiger, Grenville's ship, was too big to enter the sounds surrounding the island, so it was forced to anchor off the Atlantic coast. Now, sounds, I don't know if you guys know much about the ocean. I didn't know what this was. Sounds are smaller bodies of water that connect to ocean or seas, or like shallow points in the water, I guess. I didn't really understand that, but now I get it. But yeah, so the ship was just too big. It would have run aground. Sorry, what's that?
I was just going to say it's also a synonym for noises.
Yes,
and,
yes, it is.
And what you do when you stick things in your penis to help you ejaculate. So,
and your penis to help you eject semen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start adding definitions and synonyms to these things.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So since Roanoke's behind the Outer Banks, it's like very shallow, and yeah, so they like said, hey, you have to park the Tiger up on the fucking Outer Banks on the Atlantic. I know it's going to be a little bit more dangerous, but we're just going to build a quick harbor. Won't take more than 2 weeks. You'll be good. It'll be fine. Almost immediately after parking the Tiger on the Atlantic, it gets hammered by terrible weather, and most of the supplies for the colony are destroyed.
Oh,
This is their food, their tools, whatever they needed. It's mostly gone. Now they're really both fucked. They're now Lane's even more pissed at Grenville. Roanoke, since it's too short, they had the good idea of making a harbor there, but it's not going to work. It's too shallow for the big ships. So fuck, they have to find a new place. So they start repairing the Tiger again on the shore, just cutting down trees, and they go taking a look around the surrounding areas to go find more, like a better place to put the harbor, I guess. And that's when they meet the Second people. And based on their previous experience with these settlers, the English, their relations were pretty good. John White even got a chance to go study the tribes, and he learned their ways. He started a dictionary, their language. Most of this research never made it back, though, unfortunately. Manteo arranged a meeting with the Grand Gamerio, that guy, the indigenous leader. Gran Ganimio to discuss a place for the English to settle their land. So they're even willing to like, hey, if you guys are going to stay here, I've got a place for you. Then at some point, a silver cup goes missing. All right. I don't know if this was like Grenville's favorite cup or like just because it was valuable or something, but Grenville was fucking pissed. He sent Admiral Amadas to the Secondton village, Aquasankangak, to demand the missing cup back. The Secondton didn't even steal it, I don't think. They were just like, we don't have it, man. We don't want your cup, bro.
Yeah, what the fuck are they gonna do? Sell it to somebody who has no idea what value it is, or
Yeah, they wouldn't have even cared about the value of silver at that point. Like, what the fuck?
They probably, and I'm using their terminology, they probably went, stupid savage thinks the shiny object, they should take that, eh? Dumb. It's like a cat can't resist a fast moving object.
I don't want to hear that relations were good or anything. They were obviously going to take the first opportunity to persecute people with darker skin color. That is precisely what they came there to do. They're like, yeah, new life and everything, but it'd be really great. We could subjugate an entire people.
Oh, hey, look, an entire people to subjugate. Perfect.
Yeah. And when the villagers told Amada that the cup wasn't there, Amadas did what any reasonable man in his position would do. Amadas decided to burn down their entire village and all their crops, scattering the occupants of the village into the dense forest.
Cool.
His excuse was, I don't want to make us English look weak. He didn't want the Secondton to think they could do whatever they wanted. This is their cup. You don't steal. What's this? You're going to steal. You could steal the cup. We're going to let you do that. What are you going to steal next? The tiger? You're going to sail away on our ship? No. Burn your village down. Fuck you. My God, these fucking assholes.
Yeah.
So they're in a foreign land with like nothing. They crashed their biggest ship and they're talking shit already, right? The repairs took about a month, and with little supplies that they had, and the fact that Grenville and Lane were at each other's throat, they decided on a new plan. Lane would stay there with 100 men, 100 or so colonists. This is all military men. And Grenville would head back to England, send more people and supplies. This would take an average trip back and forth from the Atlantic was about 50 days. So be like about 4 months of like struggling for 100 people. Makes more sense, right? Unfortunately for Lane, Grenville was rerouted to Newfoundland to alert fishing fleets that the Spanish were seizing English vessels. Tensions between the English and Spanish were like very high at this time. They were at a tipping point. They weren't at war yet, but they were getting there. Lane and his crew now would have to rely heavily on the Secondton people for supplies, even though they didn't even know it. So with burning the village, tensions were fucking very high. But thanks to Manteo, our buddy that had faith in the English, he got a meeting between everyone and like cooled it down. Now, that's what we're going to call it. Cooled it down. But since that happened, Lane started to get more and more paranoid. He didn't like the idea of relying on the Secondton. He thought they were just bullshitting. They're not being nice to us right now. They just want to surprise attack us or something. They're going to fucking get us. I know it. So he's getting that in his mind. And then this is happening at the same time. The colonists, or they're calling them planters at the time, which I find fun. So the planters, when they went there, they brought smallpox and the flu.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they didn't mean to. It's not like they're doing it intentionally. The native people never experienced that stuff before, so they didn't have the immune system for it. So they brought the disease, and Wengina, the chief, he fell ill, and he was one of the few people that was like, no, it's not the English bringing this disease upon us. They are the ones who can save us, actually. So he asked for prayers from the English to help heal him. The English guys go, sure, man. They pray for him. And then he gets better. So when Gina thinks like, see, I told you these guys were good. They just have to pray. So then what he does is he gets, when Gina goes, you know what? There's 2 towns over. All these 3 towns are suffering the same affliction. Can you guys go trample through all of our villages? Probably about 40 or 50, like little villages, 40 or 50 miles worth of villages. Went to every town and prayed for them. What do you think that did? Prayer doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm sure they all got better. How else would you get better if not for thoughts and prayers? I mean,
yeah, sorry, prayers don't work. What they actually do is spread the disease even more everywhere.
That sounds like something a faithless heathen would say.
This is when the scales tipped. When Gina decided to
But hold on. You know the best way to pray for somebody to like really get the prayers into them is to like lick your hands and put them on the side of their face and then just like get real close
Oh
and
man.
speak your prayers into their nostrils and mouth. That's how you really get the prayers into them.
I always thought that kissing a rattlesnake is what made your prayers more powerful, that you had to like do all that rattlesnake shit before your prayers really could like impact.
Yeah, you lick your hands, grab a rattlesnake by the face and give it a kiss. It's all connected. It's all the same.
That tracks.
Yeah.
When Gina's pissed now, he's like, I thought they were good. Now I know they're bad. They're fucking whatever he thought at the time. Get off my island. And he changes his name to Parmisipan. And it just translates to he who watches or the one who watches. I find that funny. It's like he gets pissed and he's just like changing my battle names out now. You know what I mean? Like I was peace Wengina, battle
Maybe that was the inception of the Watcher.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, for sure. Parmisipan's been the Watcher the whole time. So then they just stopped communications. The Second they stopped giving food to the colonists, and the Second actually were planning an attack to force them out of their land. Lane unfortunately captured a couple tribes people in a different battle, and he heard about the plan before they could actually go through with it. So Lane does like this thing where he knows he's being set up to be attacked, so he sets up his own attack crew, and then when they go to do the meeting, Lane shows up and they fucking just kill all the guys that are there. They're like, I know you're trying to attack us, assholes. And when Gina gets hit, he runs to the bush. He's like, I gotta get out. But Lane's guys got him, killed him. Or I guess his name Parmisipan, or whatever the fuck he calls himself now. They get him, they cut off his head, and they put it on a pike outside the colony.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that seems like a terrible way of wasting your prayers.
You wasted all your good prayers on a beheading, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. You pray for the guy just to cut his fucking head off. I mean, think about how much more they could have gotten for those prayers.
Yeah, you could have prayed for like a white person. Think about how that would have went.
Right, exactly.
Having to kill someone. Yeah.
Oh man. Richard.
I'm being fucking a character. It's not me. I'm talking about Lane. My God. This is all happening over like an 8-month period. The Granville hasn't sent any supplies back. They're like getting more and more panicky. So tensions were high and his head got on a pike. They're still expecting the fucking resupply. It's June. Lane's like, we're dead soon. You know, he's ready. And so by mid-June, he looks on the horizon in the distance and he sees a bunch of ships and he thinks, now we're fucked for sure dead. The Spanish finally here to come kill us. Come on in, Spanish. We're done. Luckily for Lane, it was an English fleet led by Sir Francis Drake that had been raiding Spanish ships for a good time off the coast. Drake sees the colonists, makes contact, and agrees to help Lane find a better location for the colony. So they weren't even ready to give up yet. They just needed a better spot. And after a particularly rough hurricane, that very night when they got there, one of Drake's ships is swept out into sea. Lane says, fuck this noise. I'm out, packs everyone up, and they all head back to England. Towai, another indigenous guy, Towai and Manteo actually jump on board too, and they go back to the old world, to the English.
That seems like such a strange move. Like, hey, these guys came in here and got us all super fucking sick, and then cut our one main dude's head off. So we should just go and see what they're all about. Like, it seemed worth getting to know them.
Manteo and Towai are from like the Croatoan island. They're on an island themselves. So they know about all the shit that's going on, but they weren't really affected. They were on.
Oh, that doesn't affect me. I can be friends with these guys.
They were on Roanoke Island, and these guys were still being nice. Like Manteo doesn't really know what they're doing. He's like, they attacked us. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they're the bad guy, but Manteo's such a nice fucking dude. He's just like, oh man, I don't know. I'll talk to them when we get back. You know, I'll talk. I got your back. I'll talk to them for you, man. Yeah, so Towai and Manteo go back. 3 colonists actually stayed back at this point, and they were never seen again or heard of. A couple days after Drake took Lane and the rest of them back to England, a single supply ship by Sir Raleigh himself arrives at the Outer Banks looking for Lane and colony. 1 week later, they were nowhere to be found, so the ship fucked off. Yeah, he had a year worth of supplies and over 400 men, so they would have been good. Granville is pissed because he actually came too. He does an extensive search of the island to figure out what the fuck happened. It says it was very vague on exactly how this happened. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just wasn't reading enough. But it says they interrogated 3 Second, and they eventually told Grenville of the evacuation. So I don't fucking know what interrogated meant. I'm sure it wasn't good. This guy ate glass. You know what I mean? Like for fun.
That like they could have just asked him a question, just immediately was like, all right, I gotta hold down one of these natives.
Oh my God. I'm gonna look one of these natives dead in the eye, chug my wine, bite the glass, and they'll tell me what the fuck I need to know.
Yeah, exactly. That was how he interrogated people.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of glasses.
That's how he started. He started by hurting himself.
And they were just
and then was like, if you don't tell me what I need to know, I'm gonna hurt you.
I don't know what he's eating, so I don't understand the significance of this. But I am terrified.
Yeah, the resupply returns to England, leaving 15-man detachment on the island to protect Raleigh's claim in America. As soon as Grenville and fleet left, the Second attacks the leftover detachment. No shit. They kill 2 right away in the original fighting. And 9 others run away to say, fuck this. They still had a pinnace there, so they're going to go jump in their pinnace and get the fuck out of there. Cool. They jump in, the 9 guys. 2 guys are already dead. They run away, they get in their pinnace, and they see the leftovers, whoever was left, they're all like fishing for oysters. They say, get the fuck in, the Second are coming. And they leave and they go to Puerto Rico. They head towards Puerto Rico, never to be seen again. Lost to history. So who knows if they even made it? Who knows if their pinnace got dunked or whatever? I don't know.
I hope their pinnace made it.
I hope their pinnace made it too. Now, on the way back to England, Grenville captured a Spanish ship full of gold, and with these riches, he returned to London. Queen England considered the expedition a success. Not only did what he just plundered on the way back pay for the entire expedition, it actually had a lot of profit. So she was good. Way to go. You didn't fuck that up at all. Everyone was really good. Raleigh, go for another try. And he didn't really want to. He's like, I don't know, man. I lost a lot last time. But John White, our artist, you know what? We got to send one more, man. I'll fucking lead this. I got this. Me and my pencils and my slate, we're going to figure this shit out. Cool. Raleigh's down. John White's like, let's do this. But they sit down and they look at White's maps and they say, you know what? That island's terrible. How about we go to Chesapeake Bay, which is to the south, and we'll go make a harbor down there. And it's a big or wide open spot. Nobody's going to get hurt over there. And you can make the colony there. Raleigh approves their mission to make the first found the city of Raleigh. And I only wrote this in because they spelled city Cittie in Old English, which kind of reminds me of titties. So it makes me happy.
Well, it reminded them too. And it's a long trip on that penis. So needed something to remind them of it. Yeah, or honestly, maybe it was just a typo when he was writing it on the map. He was just like, oh, fuck, I can't stop thinking about titties. So
yeah. Like Freudian slip.
Yeah.
So this is where we started. We're back where we started. January 7th, 1587. The ship set sail once again to colonize the New World. The 3 ships led this time by John White himself. Now he can add explorer to his fucking artist, explorer, whatever resume. He probably has a long one by the end. White was the captain of the fleet, and his ship was named the Lion. The other 2 ships were flyboats, and they had a fully rigged pinnace this time.
Fully rigged.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the names of those ships were, but the 2 other captains were Edward Spicer and Edward Stafford, where I'm going to call them the 2 Eddies from now on. And they also had 115 men and women, even children, along for the ride. So when I said 115 earlier, the 2 Eddies are the captains. So that's 117 plus White himself. That's 118 plus Manteo and Toei come back. So it's 120 they go back with. His White's pregnant daughter, Eleanor, and his son-in-law, Anadeus Dare, were part of the expedition. Simon Fernandez came along as navigator again. This time it was, like I said, it was all settlers this time. There was no military people, which I find fucking crazy. They just pissed off the entire area, lobbing heads off and shit. They're like, you know what? This time, let's not bring any fucking military. Cool.
Hell yeah, brother. It's that colonial confidence. Just like we're destined for this.
For sure. This is our destiny.
Mm-hmm.
John White's fleet of 3 arrived on the island off the coast of what is now North Carolina on July 22nd. They were at Roanoke Island because they were at Roanoke Island because they wanted to go meet up with the 15 of Lane's men that he left behind. So they all pack up their shit and they get on the pinnace, head over to where he was, and then they come back. So they're like, okay, we can't find these 15 guys. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And Simon Fernandez doesn't let them back on the ship. He's like, fuck you, you're staying here. I don't understand why. There is some theories as to why. This is what it says in the history books. Like he said, no way, you guys are colonizing here. But there's 2 pregnant women on the ship, and they were both very close to giving birth. So there's a theory that the women were like, we got to stop. We're not moving anymore. We're done. We have to stay here because our kids could come any single day now, and we're not doing it on the boat. It's not happening on the boat. So to save face in history, they wrote like Simon Fernandez told us we weren't allowed on, instead of like allowing it to be a woman's choice that they stayed. Like that's one of the theories I saw.
Wow.
Like, the woman wouldn't have been able to order them around. You know what I mean? So they didn't want to say that, which I kind of lean towards. You never know. That could, like, I don't understand any other reason Simon Fernandez would be like, get the fuck. Like they saved him from dying. He came to America twice already with them. He doesn't have. The ship stays. It's not like the ship leaves. Simon just stays out in the ship and he goes, no, not allowed on.
It's also feasible that he could tell pregnant women what to do, considering they were also probably children back then. So we're gonna keep the kids with the kids in them on the ship.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I said, John White's daughter was one of the pregnant ones. So it could have been just John White saying my daughter needs to stop, and they didn't want to be like the women are controlling the ship. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it tracks that she's probably a child too, because he was probably 24, about to be a grandfather. So
he was born in 1550. So he was probably in his 40s. He was just 40, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That's young to be a grandpa for sure.
That's old to be a grandpa back then.
Yeah, so yeah, they were forced to colonate Roanoke. Now, this is not what they wanted to do, but this is what they had to do. Almost immediately, while on the island, a colonist is killed while crab fishing by local tribesmen. So, not safe. Everyone was terrified right away, obviously.
Was it a member of the Crab People tribe?
No, this is actually, I forget what his name was, but he was the John White of this trip. He was the artist. So he was out crab fishing and he got fucking killed right away.
Damn.
Yeah. White organizes an effort to reestablish communication with the Second, particularly the Croatoan people, Mantios people. Mantio was with them, so Mantio wanted to go back. The Croatoan immediately tell White it was the Manchese, that it was Manchese that attacked the 15 colonists, and that's why Manchese was one of the first guys that went to America with Mantio, right? So it was him who was like, let's kill these fucks. So you can see how different size of these. It's like a yin to fucking Mantio's yang in this guy. As retaliation, White organizes an attack on the Wanchese's tribe later in August. So they're only there for about a month now. Wanchese and his boys were already long gone because killing Crab Boy, they thought there was going to be retaliation. And White they end up striking at night. And what they do is they attack the Croatoan fucking looters. They attack Mantio's people by accident. Fucking morons. They just don't want to get along with anyone. You know what I mean? Like,
no, probably 6 and 1, half dozen the other to them. Less is less.
Yeah. And then Mantio, after all this, the nice guy that Mantio is, he prevents all of the giant war between this. He tries to get peace with these guys. And White, thank God, White, you know what White does? He goes, thank you, Mantio. You're the best. You know, you made us feel safe around here. I'm doing it. I'm baptizing you. And I'm going to give you the name Lord of Roanoke and the Croatoan. Thanks.
Oh, wow. That's the best honor that any native person could ever ask for, is to have another person's wacky made-up belief system forced upon them.
Yeah, so he's just your Lord of Roanoke. I'm the white guy.
That's awesome. You want to know something else, though? I bet Mantio stole that cup.
You're probably right. That's why he was so nice. It was them.
Yeah. It like just starts like getting cold sweats as soon as they're like cutting heads off over the silver cup. He's like, he doesn't even have it. He just like drank some water out of it and accidentally dropped it in the river.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where they didn't want to tell on his boy, but everybody knew it was Manteo. That's why he had to go back to England with them. He's like, they're gonna kill me if I stay.
Yeah.
Can't be found out.
Yeah. So yeah, he ended up being he's credited as being the first Native American baptized and given title in the New World. I wrote thanks white people, I guess, in here. And then 9 days later, after this title was given on August 18th, 1587, Eleanor White Dare gives birth. She was named Virginia, and she was the first Christian English born in the New World, even though not many records of Virginia Dare exist. And all that we know basically is that she was born. Her image over the past 400 years has been co-opted by many special interest groups in America up to this day. She's been used as a symbol of hope and adventure and mystery in North America. I've seen her being used in like supernatural things. You know, she's in like Lost Colony of Roanoke movies or whatever the fuck there is. She's all over the place for that. In 1901, they had like a poem about her disappearance. She was beloved by, she grew up, changed her name to like a native name. She was beloved by two men in the tribe where she lived, and the jealous one turned her into a supernatural doe, like a deer. And then one other guy tries to kill the deer. Anyways, my point is it's all over the place for a long time. She's romance, you know, but her name has also been co-opted in the name of white supremacy. Her name been synonymous with the European pureness in America. All right. In the 1920s, a group in Raleigh, North Carolina, opposed to the suffrage movement, fearing that Black women would earn the right to vote. So they urged that all North Carolina remain white in the name of Virginia Dare.
They're like, I Virginia fucking dare you to try.
She is now an inspiration for the VDare website, which is a very alt-right nationalistic associated with the KKK website. Here was the headline at the top of the article when I clicked on the website. 5 New Jersey cities, 10% population had 62% of shootings. New Jersey would have virtually no gun violence if it had no Black population. Yikes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so this chick's been co-opted by the KKK.
Yeah.
How awful.
Well, and I don't trust their statistics because they're not very bright people, which isn't a hot take, but I did hear something recently which tickled me just beyond all belief. The guy who got arrested for that trucking convoy out in your guys' neck of the woods there, Richard. He was quoted as saying to the judge, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I thought it was a part of my First Amendment right. And the judge said, First Amendment, what's that? Because Canada don't have that. And he goes, I don't know politics. I don't know.
Yeah.
My immediate response would have been, oh, fuck, I'm at the wrong house.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm in the wrong place. Oh no.
Yeah, he got in the judge's head.
Oh no.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were my neighbor. Can I leave?
Oh goddamn. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting that this chick who basically has 7 days of real somebody actually seeing her ever has been co-opted by the fucking most terrible people over the years. Anyways, back to the story.
Truly believe the average reader though would have no fucking clue who that is. So
Virginia Dare, not anymore.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah.
No. But it's so sad that, like you said, all we really have is 7 days of her life, and she's been turned into like a.
Yeah, it's the idea of her, right? The idea of like brand new starts, and it's sad that that's how. Because that could have went to anything, right? Like I said, intrigue, mystery, but no. Nowadays it's just the fucking racist. It's good, thank God.
right. It would kind of be like if everybody took all of Richard's horrible, nasty, racist remarks and misconstrued them as jokes, and he went down as a progressive icon. It would be like this sort of twist of irony. You know, he'd be a celebrated woke hero. He'd be spinning in his grave like, no, I meant everything I said.
All right, you fucks. Surrounded by enemies, abandoned by Fernandez, and this trip wasn't turning out too good. White decides, and John White's his name. I'm not fucking back at, we're not in racist town anymore. John White decides to send some colonists back to England to explain the situation and get a supply run sent back as soon as possible. Colonists convinced White that that it should be him to go back because he had good relations with, like, he was friends with Raleigh, and he was more likely to get Raleigh to agree to sending a quicker turnaround on these supplies. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to be the guy to go. But I mean, they were right. Like, he was going to be the guy to do it. And he definitely needed to go back anyway, because they wouldn't have known they were dropped off at Roanoke Island. They would have thought they were in Chesapeake Bay. So he had to make sure Raleigh would even know so they wouldn't miss it anyway. But he left on August 27th, 1587. So she was born on the 18th and he left on the 27th. So he had 9 days with his granddaughter before he fucked off. He left 115 people, 87 men, 17 women, and 11 children to fend for themselves for what he thought would be a terrible month or two while he gathered supplies and people needed to make this trip a success. White had a terrible trip back, full of scurvy, death, bad weather, but White eventually made it back to the homeland by November. That's like a long time. It took him way longer to get back, 6 months, I think. By this time, war had broken out with England and Spain, and the Spanish Armada was heading to England for an invasion. It was fucking huge at the time, and England needed all the help it could get, so all ships were sequestered and utilized in the war effort. Over the next 3 years, John White sat at home like, I wish I could go back and see my family, but I got fucked. And eventually by 1590, March 1590, things cooled off enough in England that White could organize another trip to Virginia. White had 2 ships, the Hopewell and the Moonlight, and they were to accompany a fleet of ships to the Americas, helping loot and privateer along the way. The trip was long this time around, as they had many sea battles and, of course, shitty weather. The only time they had good weather during this entire thing was that first fucking trip. The entire other time, they got fucked by weather. They went up and down the coast along the Caribbean islands, all the way up, stealing as they went. They were with, I think, 5 other ships. They got to the Roanoke Island early August 1590, and they saw plumes of smoke around the southern part of the island. They go to that side. They couldn't really have any, they didn't see any evidence of anyone. Now, they didn't really, I tried to figure out if that was like a man-made like smoke signals or some shit, but they never really go into why they saw the smoke plumes, but they did. And then they landed on Roanoke Island August 18th, 1590, Virginia Dare's 3rd birthday. They found footsteps on the beach, but they were never approached by anyone. A little further up, closer to the where the settlement would have been, they found the letters CRO carved into a tree. They thought this was interesting, and they reached the site of the colony. They found it dismantled, taken apart, not burned to the ground, dismantled, not ruins, just gone. And upon further investigation, they found a fence post, and on the fence post, they found the word Croatoan carved into it. Apparently, before John White left, he'd given the colonists instruction to carve the location where they're going to be heading if there was any need to leave. And if they were in danger, they were to carve a Maltese cross beside it. I don't know if you guys know what a Maltese cross is, but it kind of looks like 4 arrowheads pointing towards the middle, like that cross, like little triangle cross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't that. It was just Croatoan. So
it depends on what it's crossed with, but otherwise it has very long hair. It's a small type of dog, but
yeah, Maltese puppies are cute. They are fucking cute. Mystified, White and his crew returned to the Hopewell. The plan was to go check the Croatoan Island the next day, because that makes sense. They're going to write fucking Croatoan on the fence post. That's where they went, the island. We'll talk about that after. Hopewell's anchors, he had 4 anchors on his ship, on their ship, the Hopewell. They had snapped 3 of them. They only had 1 anchor. The captains of the Hopewell and the Moonlight didn't want to go check out Croatoan because 1 anchor apparently just asked for shipwrecks. I guess the ship whips around in the ocean and just going to smash them up. And then another fucking bad weather system comes in. And White's not in charge of this one either. He's just there as kind of like going to check everything out. He's not the captains of these ships, so he has no choice. And the fucking 2 ship captains are like, nope, we're not going to check. Not worth it. I don't want to die. We're going home, or we're going to continue along our voyage. So they left. They never checked the Croatoan Island. And the 115 colonists were never seen again. They've been lost to history as well. What happened to these colonists is basically what the mystery is today. It's the oldest, probably the oldest mystery in what would become America, unless there's some sort of Native American one that I'm not aware of, but this is considered the oldest in America. Thoughts before I go into theories?
Yeah, I would say the most likely is that they were killed by natives. And I want to defend the natives and say that the only reason that they did it was I'm guessing that Vikings were there very early on, because we know that Vikings were in North America and the earliest settlers of Canada. So I'm guessing that they just did a preemptive strike. And as we're talking about Ukraine, I think I'm all for it.
Okay. It's a fair assessment. We'll get into that. That is a possibility. It's one of the theories for sure. I never really threw Vikings into it. I don't think they need that kind of history. They just had a fucking guy come there and kill their chief and put his head on a pike. That could be enough.
You need something. People don't just, people aren't just brutal by default. If you look at like historical, like when you go and you approach a society for the first time and you have like an introductory period, it's not just immediate war. There's usually like it
wasn't though. They had a bunch of nice times. They had a bunch of nice times with these guys until they started fucking accusing them of stealing a cup.
No, I don't think it was the same. I think there was many different groups, and I think it was just the wrong group got the wrong idea about white people, or the right idea about white people, to be honest.
For sure. Yeah, I'll rip off one and then see if you guys got more comments. So one of the theories is that they did actually go to the Croatoan Island down south. It's the thing that makes the most sense. They carved that in the tree. They took the time to write it, you know. And first of all, John White, the fucking the danger plan of like carving something into a tree is a terrible idea. That takes forever. Like, what if you just didn't have time to put the Maltese cross or you die? You know what I mean? Just anything more than just Croatoan. Anyways, so maybe they did go to the island, and maybe there wasn't any never been any evidence that any European settlers have stayed there. There's been a few things on the Croatoan Island. Like there's been some stuff over excavations over the years, but not enough to justify an entire like 115 people. But there's been 400 years worth of erosion on these islands, and apparently like a new island popped up in the Outer Banks like 3 years ago. I didn't know that islands are like a mile long island. So like shit changes a lot, especially on the ocean. I'm an mainlander, so I don't know anything about coastal shit, especially around islands like that. I learned a lot. Apparently half mile has been eroded into the ocean since those times, which is a lot of time. Maybe it's just all underwater. Maybe they made it there. They had their settlement. It was too close to water. Now it's just gone. We'll never, ever be able to excavate or find it. It's just underwater, disappeared. Like I said, they found some tools Europeans would have used during that time period, but it could be stuff that was there because the Europeans and stuff were there from then on. So it could have been stuff from 50 years later. It's not that accurate with like pottery or just random shit. It could have been there already. Like they could have left it there 50 years later. It doesn't have to be when they were there.
Or were the tools like combs made out of Indian teeth?
No, they had, like I said, they had some pottery. All right. They found some egglets. You know what an egglet is? You know that little thing on the end of your shoelace? That little plastic thing?
Oh, yep.
But they had big brass ones that would go on the end of like wool or whatever they had. But they're hard to date because, yeah, basically. Like I'm doing this, but I mean, it's small. It's wool. You know, it just goes on the end of wool so it doesn't fray.
Nah, I bet their shoelaces were huge.
They found some like
stupid.
They found a brass ring that originally was called gold, and it had like, it was obviously from England in that time period. But if it was gold, everyone was super pumped, and then they looked at it like, this is just brass. But a brass ring could have been anything that could have been passed down, traded, anything. A gold ring would have been a different story. They also found a hilt of a scimitar, which is not like a big ass broadsword. It's like the smaller pirate swords you see.
I know what it is.
Movie.
I've played Skyrim.
Okay. It's more for the listener. Like, we're not all nerds, you know. I am. I know what that was before that too.
It's like saying you've seen Fight Club. Get the fuck out of here, nerd. That's so mainstream. It's crazy.
Okay.
Sorry,
What's
you're
this Fight Club you talking
Fucking yeah. I'm sorry you're 42 and missed the boat on video games being mainstream media.
Shit.
They found some guns, some like muskets, little baby revolver, like old school revolvers with musket pellets. They found some stuff, but I mean, all that stuff was in a native garbage burial site. Like it wasn't like an English garbage burial. It could have just been traded to them over the years or looted off of things that they found. Like it wasn't enough to suggest full-blown colony here, but there was contact for sure.
So in short, to my comb question, that was a no. Got it.
Part of this theory is that they didn't start a new colony or whatever. They didn't go to the south and start a colony. They just got assimilated by the Croatoan people. So Croatoan Island is where Manteo and his people are from, right? He would be the guy to try and save these colonists. Everybody else would try and fucking kill them for sure. So John Lawson, who worked as a surveyor in that area in the late 1600s, early 1700s, reported that he'd met the Croatoan people, and some of them had light hair and gray eyes. Now, that's not like a genetic trait of the native American people. That's a genetic trait of Europeans: blue eyes, light skin, light hair.
Racist.
Yeah, my DNA is racist.
You're telling Indian people they can't have something. That's racist.
Well, I was just about to say that doesn't necessarily mean that they were interbreeding with the European people. What this could mean in Native American genetic pool has a higher chance of albinism than most others. So they could have just found some albino native people as well.
Just like a racist to backpedal.
But how old were the people that they saw? I feel like they weren't gone that long.
This is 100 years later.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like, never mind.
No, this one here, this guy saw them 100
yeah,
years
but
later.
I mean, there's white people everywhere, you know?
Not back then. Are you nuts?
Yeah, white people be shopping.
Can you imagine they
what are you
get
talking
there
about? You know that.
They show up in the New World, and then it's like Wingina and Manitoba or whatever, and then just Bill. Like, hey, so I'm the one white guy. We're always here.
I have no satisfactory backing on this, but I've been trying to find if John White had life insurance on his family, and I cannot find anything. But you know why? He just didn't want to look for him. He was like, oh yeah, we exhausted every possible explanation. There was nothing on the tree.
Yeah, it could be, man. History's written by the fucking rich people. So he could have just been like, I looked a lot. He probably could have potentially not even gone in 1890. Who knows?
Yeah. Also I really want to go back and see them. He was definitely fucking someone else back there. 100%.
Well, yeah. Did he get knighted? Yeah, because I mean that by that point. Was he? Well, that'll change somebody.
That'll
eat the queen's
trauma.
pussy.
Plus, if you think about it, it was definitely bathed versus unbathed pussy, right? Because
no, it was most certainly unbathed.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you were.
I mean, across the
spectrum of the 1500s, all pussies were unbathed. I promise. That's why they made you a knight for eating the queen's pussy. It's a very brave task to undertake. It's just caked in that stupid powder they put on their faces and wigs.
Disgusted by this, I love it.
I feel like queens have to bathe more than people who get sent off to the New World.
They're either dirty or they're dipping themselves in blood. That's all I know about their history. So there's no bathing going on. I know it.
The light hair, gray eye thing isn't the only thing that John Lawson saw. He actually when he went there, they gave him chickens, and chickens aren't native to North America. So where the fuck did they get these chickens? Was this from the colony? Some Croatoan people even had last names like Europeans, same last names as people that were on the expedition to this day even.
But is that like a Ron Swanson thing? Whoever kills me gets to keep my riches and my name, you know?
Could be. But the modern day Lumbee people said that they're descendants of the Croatoan people and the white colonists from the expedition as well. They, in their oral history, there is parts that say that they came from that actual expedition. So with the last names, the weird chicken thing, and their oral history saying that, it could be this thing where these people went down there, lived amongst the people, and kind of interbreeded and made this kind of like third.
I believe it, Richard. I think, especially if their last names were like, it was like Tyler, English mixed with Indian person.
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, I have an explanation for the chickens.
Okay.
Do tell, Rick.
Well,
Birds aren't real.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't have chickens.
England started off early, and then we didn't take it, so we threw all of the tea and the birds into the harbor, and then slowly we let real birds come back, and then Ronald Reagan. You guys know the history. I don't want to.
Yeah, the Lumbee Nation would be like a third distinct, like the Croatoans would be a third mixture of both the indigenous and the white people. But the Lumbee Nation just recently had been given recognition by the U.S. federal government as a real tribe within the U.S., given the same provisions as any other federally recognized tribes. Biden said he was going to support them if he became president and give them their recognition as the real tribe. So Donald Trump went there and supported them before the election. He said, you know what? Fuck you, Biden. I'm going to give them the recognition now before you can, you fuck.
That was the best part about him, was how petty he was.
I mean,
and it spiked.
Okay,
it
but
spiked
it's kind of good that it did, because Biden probably would have forgot.
Yeah.
So
well, I fully expected that to end with, and he hasn't done that yet. So
yeah. So
either way, I mean, it was a nice little twist, but
now in 2012, there were some people that decided maybe we should test the DNA of the Lumbee people and see how much European they have in their genes. Maybe that'll give us an indication if that was. And apparently, I don't really understand the whole fucking DNA thing. Yes and no and no and yes. Apparently, there's enough European to make this compelling.
It proves absolutely
but like, there's nobody
nothing,
there. That's what I'm going to say. There's been Europeans here for so long that it's hard to figure out. You'd have to have someone's blood from who is or a family member of someone who is on that expedition for you to even compare it to. But they say it's compelling. I don't know. Maybe. Sounds compelling. I'm not a fucking DNA scientist. I wish I was. That'd be cool, but I'm not. So it's all.
You should do that. That would make us so much more credible.
Yeah, you do it.
Well, it's the internet. You can also just say you are, and regardless.
That's true. I am a DNA specialist. I forgot. I am a DNA specialist.
Yeah, I don't know.
Along with a private detective who's going to solve this thing after 430 some odd years.
Yeah. Exactly.
We should probably start by taking all of our own blood and checking it.
I'm not giving you my blood. That sounds like a setup.
To what? Make sure that we're white? I think we know that.
Yeah.
No, maybe it's reversed. It's reversed. We're doing it in the reverse.
I can see my veins through the bottom of my arm. I think I'm good.
I think I know I'm white.
That's a little European.
The way that I just go white to red and don't tan tells me that I'm very white.
Yeah. That's the mode.
Jamestown colonists, they were just a little bit north when they landed and they made their settlement. But they had said they had seen a blonde savage, they quote unquote savage, around that area. They said they saw like a kid, and it was only 20 years after. You figure if that was true though, like that kid would have went and said, hey, I saw some like more white people out in the bush, mom and dad, or whoever the fuck it was. Do you think that has anything to do? Like it's close enough in time where someone would have.
Why did they call them a white savage? What's the significance in?
Because he was probably hanging out with all the other native people, the indigenous people, with like doing whatever they were doing and calling him a savage. Like he wasn't walking around in his English clothes or whatever. Who knows? I don't know why.
Now that was probably an albino little guy.
I just feel like it takes me like 5+ years to fully be assimilated. You know,
he had a feather headdress, but like also one of those big collars. It's a white savage.
I was just saying, I don't know if I support any of these theories that talk about them like possibly commingling and living and that they weren't found, because I feel like you don't assimilate that quick. Like you have a completely different lifestyle that you have to come from to assimilate that quickly and not be found. I feel like there would be so much fight.
You have whatever you want. It's bountiful. You have whatever you want. It's not like where you're in London, like scraping, like you're a middle class person out there. Versus this, you can go out there, live in the free land, have everything you want, like move to the bush. Why not?
If you're getting 4/5 of the Queen's winnings, you're not like a peasant.
These people do not get the fifth. These are the colonists. This wasn't John White.
It was John White's wife and kid. Well, I mean, the kid's dead, but
But
they both are. But
Raleigh gets that.
Yeah.
Raleigh gets he gets that.
You know,
these guys get their fucking 400 acres. That's what they get. 400 acres.
But
which is lots, but I mean, it's not
that
the same.
also backpedals to what I was saying before, because like, you know, it's you have this beautiful wide open, it's this opportunity, and back home you might have whatever you're used to, but you're also getting shit dumped out of a window onto your face every morning. So like, times
I just feel like it wouldn't be like 100% success rate, right? Some people might be like, okay, I'm gonna assimilate. Other people are gonna be like, nah, I'm staying here. I'm waiting for this fucking boat to come back, and I'm going back to London.
I think you're underestimating. I literally would think it would just take like one generation.
I agree, especially
all you
back
have
then.
to do,
you'd have kids, and they'd be hanging out with the other kids from and then it would be the end of it right there. You'd be like fully assimilated. You would be the only one. The people who went there and added to the tribe would be the only ones that weren't be assimilated.
Right.
That's what I think.
And that's what's so terrifying about the concept of colonizing Mars to me, is that like if 200 people go out there and then they all fuck each other or whatever, because you know that's what's going to happen. There's not going to be any. That's going to be encouraged.
Oh, fucking SpaceX key party. Shit.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. They go out there and they have kids, and then like, you know, 50 years later, there's just this whole fucking huge group of people that have like no nationality or like no like, you know, that are completely disconnected from Earth or something. If Elon Musk takes his fucking nuclear bomb out there or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't take anything for them to just completely have no ties or concern for anything that's happening at home, whether that's Earth or London or whatever the fuck.
Oh, for sure. And it wouldn't take long. It wouldn't be hard to like, even if you had a boss, it wouldn't be hard to be like, fuck you, boss, you're on Earth. You know, you just take over, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Could you?
They're all working from home on Mars.
Whoa. All right, I'm going to Mars. You just sold me. I can fucking work from Mars.
Fucking telecommuting.
What's the time zone there? Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, those tasks that you needed 5 years ago, I'm 20 years early in our time zone.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's the key. Free labor for Elon Musk. I bet he's not even gonna go, because I bet all of his fucking hair transplant follicles will fall out in low gravity. Piece of shit.
Anyways, this is the most accepted theory by scholars as to what happened. Was either a combo of this, like they went and they met in with the Croatoan people, or a mixture of this and the next one, or the next one. Like, you know what I mean? There's the next one is its own theory, but it could be a combo of either A or B on this one. The next theory is that the planters moved inland. So instead of going south to Croatoan Island, they actually went to the mainland. And they thought they wrote Croatoan on the fucking post because they thought they were going to Croatoan, but instead they went to the wrong direction and followed the peninsula inland. I know it's kind of a joke, but who the fuck knows who was left there? I don't know how many good trackers or whatever. They probably were all good with compass and stuff, but who the fuck knows? Maybe there was a solar storm, like Rick said. Maybe they just went the wrong way. Or maybe they just decided that was the better idea. They didn't trust any of the indigenous people, and they just said, hey, we'll go take our chances over there. This was a mistake. This would have been a mistake if they did do this, because it was hostile native territory. But there is evidence on the inland area by the peninsula that the colonists or someone of European origin was there around that time. They did find some more artifacts. Like they found some more of those eglets. They only found some egglet. They found less there anyway, but they did find some stuff. Nothing, some more pottery. It was like a specific kind of pottery that was canceled like 50 years after the thing. So they could have been some, or it was off for 50 years up until then. So it would have been canceled just as they would have gotten there. So it's kind of rare that it would have been there if it wasn't that time period.
Sexually harass somebody?
Yes, it got canceled off Twitter. They went through his old tweets. It was terrible. Yeah.
Good pottery.
It could have just been looted off dead bodies, could have been trade, this kind of stuff. But there was also the map that John White made of Roanoke Island. that made this theory what it is today. It's on display at the British History Museum, like I said. And over the years, like if a map ripped back then, or if you made a mistake or something like that, you would patch the map. You would take a little piece of canvas and flop it over where the other piece was and draw over it again. Right. So some guy was looking at the thing. He said, what's under that patch? Like, what's there? They looked under the patch using like a light box. So they put the map behind a light, and they saw that there was a symbol on the westernmost edge of the water inside the peninsula. And the symbol represented a fort is what they think. So is this where the colonists ended up? And did John White even know? Did he go there and he drew it on there? And he went, oh, fuck, I don't want people to know that they're there. So he put a patch over top. And the reason I think he was hiding it, which I find this is kind of the funniest part about the whole thing, is he put the patch over top of the fort. It's just a little patch. But then on top, they can see that it either looked faded away. Like if you look kind of on an angle, you can see that it was drawn on the top of the patch as well. But they also think it was invisible ink, which I didn't know you could fucking do back then. Yeah, you make ink out of like
lemon juice,
piss, or milk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So like invisible piss ink. And then if you heated it up, it would like.
Thank you, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Nick Cage.
That was what was on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Piss.
Yeah, he just pissed all over it. Yeah.
He didn't piss all over. He used his dick as a pen and just dribbled the piss out while he was writing with it.
Correct. A piss pen. A penis pen. Yeah, so just so I can be clear, under the patch there was the fort. Over top of the patch was a invisible ink of the exact same fort. Yeah. So someone was hiding something from someone. The thing that I thought was maybe the Spaniards, because they would have definitely known where the fort was, because they're at war. There was lots of spies, everything like that was going on. There would have been the Secatan. So if they ever lost the map, they didn't want to know where everyone was so they could go kill them. You know, there's reasons to hide it. It's just weird that they kept the invisible ink part. That was probably for everyone back at home. Right here. Yeah. So in 2019, they did the digs. This is where I wrote down this part. They had pottery shards, copper aglets. Yeah, that's the
real thing for them aglets.
No, that's all they found. That's all they found there, but it's English. I don't know. People were in that area already. So the problems with this one is like people like Jamestown was only 20 years out. It's not that far up. They could have got that aglets and stuff like that. That could have been a place they wanted to stop. Like it doesn't necessarily mean it was hidden on the map. They just didn't end up staying there. And if they did, they'll have the invisible ink on it or something. Who knows? It's all speculation, right? So you can't really guess to why all that stuff was there. So maybe, or it was a combo of both of these, where some people said, fuck this, we're going inland. And then the other people went, let's go down to the Croatoan Island, stay there. When John White comes back with our shit, you can meet us back inland and we can all live there. Whatever. Those are the combos where people survive. All right. So that's the theories of people surviving. What do you guys think about these people surviving this encounter over there?
I don't see a scenario where any of them survived. I actually think what was most likely, and the reason that we're seeing all these claims of that there was intermingling, is it was probably more of like, listen, all people are shitty. The Native Americans were put through some horrible times by Europeans that came in, and just the West in general. But all people are shitty. And I'm sure they did the same thing that others would have done. They got into killing and taking slaves and raping. And, you know, moreover, that's my guess as to what happened. I don't see a scenario where it's really any of them were able. I mean, if they fled, I don't think they lived long.
Yeah, I think it could be a combo of all three. Like a lot of them got killed, and they just took the kids and women. You know, they killed all the guys off, kept a couple people that were as slaves or whatever, and then that's how the intermingling genes got there or whatever. I don't think everyone survived either.
I was doing research to see if there was any studies specifically on because there's a lot of studies obviously on Europeans coming in and raping Native Americans, but I was looking for the inverse of that. And I was just reading an interesting article that was about Native Americans in Seattle, where they said that 94% of Native Americans interviewed, Native American women, claimed that they had been raped before, you know, and this is modern times, right? So it would have been like within their own system. So I think it's pretty interesting to kind of look from that view of that could have, I mean, and it's the fucking 1600s. So,
Well, yeah, there's no consent wasn't invented until 1989. So,
yeah.
And not practiced till 2003.
Conveniently right
Still.
after all the birds went missing. So.
Yeah, so the next theory is about the indigenous killed them. After the murder of Windinga, do you think they would want retribution? I say yes. Whiteness colony were already fucking getting attacked the moment they dropped onto the island. That's why he went back to England to begin with, because they weren't having an easy time. I'm guessing he probably would have brought back some military people. That was probably part of his plan. The theories is supported by the discovery of what are now known as the Dare Stones. In 1937, Louis E. Hammond brought a 21-pound stone with markings on it to Emory University, be looked at by the geologist there, dingus. The stone's markings were all written in Old English, something that in 1937 someone probably wouldn't have known how to do unless they were educated in this area and they had this kind of area of expertise. So here's the transcription from the stone. It's translated into English, our version of English, modern English. So it starts like this. On one side of the stone, all right, there's two sides of the stone. One side of the stone, it just said this. It said Ananias Dare in Virginia went to heaven 1591. So that was the one side. And then on the other side, and this is translated, and I'm going to say it word for word untranslated. Father, soon after you go for England, we came here. Only misery and war for 2 years. Above half dead these 2 years from sickness, being 24, savage with message of ship came to us. Small space of time. They frightened of revenge and ran all away. We believe it was not you. Soon after the savages said the spirits angry, suddenly murdered all save 7, my child and Ananias, 2, slain with much misery, buried all near 4 miles east this river, upon small hill, names written all there on rock. Put this there also. Savage shows this to you. We promised you give great plenty presents. EWD. Now, EWD is said to stand for Eleanor White Dare. More stones were found after this first discovery, 47 to be exact, all over Carolina. All of the 47 that were found after this one have been written off as hoaxes. It's actually taken away the legitimacy of the first one that was found, which has actually been both sides of this. It's been called authentic and a hoax at the same time. But I think it's authentic because of the way the erosion of the lettering was. You'd have to chemically treat it. You have to be very fucking smart at etching. You'd have to know how to Old English, first of all. You'd have to know how to like treat a piece of rock so it would look like it's that old with chemicals. And then you'd have to trick a bunch of geologists into believing it's true at a university. That's a lot of shit you'd have to do. You'd have to be a very smart person to get away with that. And then why only do it on one if the 47 other ones look like shit and don't even sound like fucking Old English? So it has been actually authenticated, and also it's disputed, but it has been authenticated. So I'm going to go play with that. Sounds as true as it gets to me. That fucking rock. There's also possibilities that the rock, the Dare Stone, was a prank from 400 years ago too. So it could have naturally eroded during that time, because there's pranks. There's always been graffiti, which I found out. There's been graffiti all the time. So people have been etching fucking bullshit into rocks. It wasn't always important. It could have also been a piece of shit. But I don't know if this is guaranteed to be real, but I like that it is real. So I like this idea the most, I think, out of all of them, that they probably 7 or 8 of them survived, lived with the rest of the tribes, and the rest of them were just fucking murdered off. There's a couple of problems though. They've never found a mass grave or anything like that, and you figure they would have. But like I said, with erosion, maybe they just went out to the ocean. Maybe a bunch of people just threw them in the ocean. Maybe they kept the bones for ornamental purposes and magic or potions or whatever the fuck they were doing 500 years ago. Who knows? But I think that's my the one I like the most is the Dare Stone. Thoughts? There's a couple more theories.
I double checked, but a lot of Native American death rituals involve fire, so I would guess that they would have been some form of cremated anyway.
Yeah, they said there's ornamental and black magic purposes to this stuff too. But I mean, I didn't go like deeply search into it, but this is my research is saying that some things potentially could, but it's 500 years ago. Shit changed so much and records are so bad. The other one's another theory. You got any thoughts on that one? But honestly, that's mine. That's what I think is real. We'll get into the fucked up ones in a bit. That's the one I think is real.
Sounds okay.
Yeah. The next one is the Spanish killed the colonists. I kind of touched on this earlier. The Spanish knew where the colony would have been. They're spies in the English court all the time. Who knows if maybe he had life insurance and hired the Spanish to go out there and kill his wife and kid. Who knows? But the Spanish were aware. They were in the area. They were getting attacked by the English as well. So it wouldn't shock me if the Spanish just marched north from Florida, trying to fucking keep the English out of their area. For more, as soon as they saw the ship leave, they know there's a few guys left, go kill them all. I kind of find it unlikely because why wouldn't the Spanish be bragging about that? You know, especially in war times. We killed a bunch of your guys, you big pussies. That's just my thoughts on that. Nothing for the Spanish. Okay. That's fine.
No love for the Spaniards.
That's fine. There's another theory that they got in the one pinnace that was left and tried to sail back to England and died at sea. Sure, I can go. Why not on that one?
Their pinnace was premature and
reaching
its destination.
Didn't make that's a sure. Like that could be it. Why not? You know, why not? They all just decided to get the fuck out of there and go. Sure. No way to prove that. No way to disprove that. It explains a lot of different things. Why they took down everything. They're bringing back all their supplies. Why there's no mass grave. It's all at the bottom of the ocean. Where the pinnace ended up, it's in the ocean as well. Like it explains a lot.
Deep. It went deep.
It's just not fun. So I don't like that one. Another one here is that they all died from some sort of disease or famine. It was a biggest drought in the past 800 years, according to records. And they didn't have any crops. They were there late. They didn't have the friendship of the Secotan people. They could have just all died off. Problem is there, like I said, doesn't explain where the bodies went, where the camp was, why it was taken down, all that stuff. But that's a theory that's hanging out there too. I just figured I'd be amiss not to mention it.
Interesting.
This is perfect. I added this today because I heard Rick wanted to go early, so I added some more to it. Theory 8. Theory aliens. Maybe they were taken by aliens. Just fills in the gaps of all the stuff that doesn't make sense. They took their whole plantation, they took the whole colony and they planted their colony somewhere else. So they're like some sort of weird zoo, like human zoo. The humans wouldn't have even known. The colonists would have just been on some ship with their little habitat, as they would call it, on the alien ship, and just mass pick them up all night. Wouldn't even know the difference. They don't even know they're missing. They have an entire new America on the ship getting studied.
They've never even aged. It's the same people. They're just in an alien zoo somewhere.
I can't wait till you're a little older so I don't have to change a motherfucking diaper again. Changing diapers for 400 years.
But she's forever just like 300 years old. Like forever an infant, but really 300 years old. Just never.
Yeah, it explains that symbol on the map. That wasn't a fort symbol at all. That was a spaceship, bro. Makes total sense, 100% sense. It's very logical, and it's gonna keep Rick around for a little longer. Okay. Another theory I added just now: cannibalism.
I actually was partly thinking of that before too.
But they can't all eat each other. There'd just be one really full guy left. You can't explain everyone's.
Well, don't you get a lot of disease from being a cannibal? Isn't it like really dangerous to eat your own species?
If you eat their brains, you get them prions.
Maybe they didn't know that.
Technically, you did have one person left. You had EWD.
Yeah, she ate everyone.
To try to work his tracks.
She's just burping and writing the stone. Oh, they're gonna buy this.
Yeah. Jamestown, the first successful English settlement that we talked about early on, they resorted to, it's historical fact that they resorted to cannibalism in 1609 after a particularly long winter. They had 400 settlers, and I think they whittled down to like 30 by the end of that winter, and they would have not survived had they not gotten their supply ship. Kind of like the situation that Grenville found himself in, except for Grenville pussed out. They could have just waited the extra 2 weeks and they would have probably survived. So since that happened in Jamestown, a lot of people like to move that. Like, why wouldn't fucking the Dares do that? You know, why wouldn't the white colonies do that? So they just ate each other, you know, no water. Like I said, it was a drought. So they had to force themselves into cannibalism. Where'd the bones go? Crushed them down and ate them too. They're hungry.
They were hungry.
Maybe it wasn't them. I'm writing as much as I can to keep Rick as long as I can.
I'm just working over top of you. I don't know if you hear me typing, but I could give a shit if you go on for hours. This is what I got to do.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode. I just figured I'd add some funny ones on the end to piss Rick off, but he's not even listening, so who cares? Aliens is one on the internet. I wasn't gonna add it, but I'm like, fuck it.
I like Aliens. I think ultimately my biggest problem is anything that's that long ago. Like I'm skeptical that anything happened at all. Like history is so untrustworthy. Like
sure.
Like I don't believe anything happened before 1971. Like there's no fucking it's just too far gone to even fathom. Like I mean, like sure, yeah, like there were people alive then today, but they're old as shit and their opinion is worthless because of that. So
yeah, but I mean the invention of the photograph is when I can start like kind of believing stuff.
Nah, cable television.
There's pictures of JFK's skull and Jackie Onassis' like gut, like on her. Like I know that happened.
I mean that was cool, but I'm not gonna say that it counts. Well, just like for starters, like narrowing the scope of that a little bit, I guess, would probably be. But the chief dude, like, I'm looking at him right now. And like who's to say he was even the chief, like when they met him, or that like anything was like chill between anybody for starters, but like that guy was the chief. You know what I mean? Like that just seems like
I don't trust anything from the 1500s, 1600s either. I feel like there's a lot of truth in there, but there's a lot of like embellishment to make you look better, especially when you go across the ocean and go like, I did this. Like, come on. Maybe like historians in England really couldn't make shit up that much, but anybody going to the New World, total bullshit. I agree with that. But I mean, Manteo did come back.
Yeah.
You know, people came back to England. That happened. I know that happened. It's all over the place. So some of this happened, and some of the guys were actually they were chill, obviously, because they got in a ship, trusted to bring them back, and then they went back. They all stayed in lap luxury. Manteo, Toei, and Wanchese, when they went there, they went and stayed at fucking the 40,000 acres in Ireland that Raleigh had. They stayed in Raleigh's like estate house, like getting fed grapes and shit.
But that either John White was a terrible fucking artist, or that man actually looked like a Simpsons character.
Does it bother you that John White was so accurate on the muscular, like how much muscle he had on his legs and arms, but his face was just completely fucking jacked up?
Well, I think if he was half the artist that people think he is, I think that was probably very accurate. And that man has a very seedy face. Like he looks like the guy who's just like, yeah, I'm the chief. What of it? Like he just like rolled in and had nothing to do with any of them. And he's like, I can broker all these deals with you. You know, like we can hang out and talk, which makes sense why he like ended up rolling over and getting his fucking head cut off, because he was never in charge of anything. He was just speaking for these poor people who were just like, who are these dudes who are squatting in our backyard?
Well, that's the one thing I find really crazy is that they learn each other's languages so quickly. Right. So they could have just been making shit up, because I didn't really mention him that much. But this guy, the scientist guy that came with them, I forget his fucking name, but he said he made basically a dictionary, Algonquin English dictionary. Like, dude, this was over the span of 3 years. There's no way you could get all the subtleties of this language that quickly.
And as their translator, they probably had Chief Vagina, who's just like, oh yeah, he says he wants you to go over there and take that. But, you know, he wants you to be nice to me about it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I do like this one because it's so far. We can make so many speculations, but no one will ever figure out what actually happened. Except
that
for us.
That is not the attitude I was going to say.
I was going to say, except for us, which is already solved. because Rick knows exactly what happened, and he's gonna tell our client. What did you call yourself, Lourdes Dingus?
I don't know. I don't think I called myself anything.
Hey, Dingus, really appreciate meeting you. You hired us for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Have a good one.
Oh God, he really didn't have anything.
He is actually.
He actually had something. Oh fuck!
I loved it. I knew it. I knew that he was just gonna be like, and I'm out.
What a piece of shit! As if he's that mad over me asking him the solution. Okay, fine. RJ, what are we telling Dingus here? So we can
goddamn!
collect...
I was just saying you can't believe any part of history before 1971. So it sounds like we're probably gonna have to go with aliens.
Sounds reasonable. I think we can get both. This vote 2 out of 3 voting for aliens. So it's aliens. So aliens came, made a little habitat. I guess. Hope you've been paying attention. This is worth whatever money we charge you for this answer.
Right, and it's
well, that's what I was thinking. Are you charging me? Because I'm not sure I'm happy with aliens being.
Oh no, you don't get to decide the truth. Who do you think you are? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If you go to a store or buy a sandwich and go like, I don't like it, you still got to pay for it. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. You don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like those facts. Give me different ones. What are you, fucking Kellyanne Conway?
I liked the stone theory that you brought up. That was epic. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I had to go look up what the Dare Stone looked like and like what the fake ones looked like. And the fakes definitely look like fakes. Like the writing goes to the edges and everything. In the original, that's not how it's framed.
But he kept bringing them in though, charging $200 a stone, and he just fleeced this fucking university. So if you go to Virginia or to North Carolina and talk about the Dare Stones and any like possibility that it's real, you get laughed out of town. It's one of those things where it's like an embarrassment to the whole story.
Wow.
And nobody wants to even people have taken a closer look recently. And like I said, the stone is authenticated, but also not also discounted. So it's super annoying. But authenticated, it was this guy who like studies ancient graffiti. They wanted him to go look at it. Yeah, some guy who does that. I forgot his name. I didn't write it down because I was going to get too much into it, but I forgot that I didn't know I was bringing you on today. So I got the fucking rock doctor here. I wish I would have thought more of this. But he goes around, looks at and authenticates this. He's the guy that authenticated.
I wonder how many ye old dicks he's flipped through in order to find anything substantial.
So many. Someone was like, "Oh, this looks like a tower, dick. This one here looks like a ship. 3 ship. That's 3 dicks." He's just like crushed so many dreams saying it's dicks.
This is
all dicks.
French dick.
Yeah.
Oh, well, on that note, thanks for solving my case, guys. But are you sure that Abigail's in jail? Have you gone and seen her behind bars?
That was Richard's job to visit her.
What do you mean? It's our job. You're coming with me.
Sounds like somebody slacked.
I just watched Private Dicks, and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.
Hey there, all you private dickheads. That's probably not the name we're gonna stick with. Anyways, RJ here. I am here to tell you thank you for listening to another episode of Private Dicks. If you liked what you heard, go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere they take your reviews, drop us 5 stars, say something nice. Also, what you just heard was from last season. If you want current episodes as they're dropped, head on over to patreon.com and search up Unethical Podcast. That's our mother podcast. I was not aware Private Dicks was a spinoff. I'm going to renegotiate my contract. On Patreon is a full 16-episode season more of Private Dicks, uncut videos of each episode, and many more things are getting added all the time. You can also find all of Unethical's content on there, so go listen to that. And if you're already a patron, fuck yeah, dude. You're the best.